everyone, my name's William. What I'm about to tell you happened back in 1996, almost 30 years ago now, but it's the kind of thing that doesn't fade the way other memories do. If anything, it's gotten clearer over time, not blurrier. I think that's because some part of my brain has never stopped trying to make sense of it. I was in college back then, living in a town outside Newton, Alabama. I won't say exactly where, some habits you keep even decades later. This story starts on an ordinary night. A group of us, a handful of close friends, drove out to catch a concert. Nothing more dramatic than that. Just a few hours of music, some laughs, the kind of night you don't think twice about until everything afterward makes you think about it constantly. The show ran late. Way later than any of us expected. It didn't wrap up until the early hours of the morning. The original plan had been simple. Crash somewhere nearby, sleep it off, and drive back to Newton once the sun was up. Safer that way. Smarter too, if you knew the roads out there. But plans change. A couple of the guys in our group had obligations the next day. Work, classes, things that couldn't wait, and there was no getting around it. We had to drive home that night. Immediately. No waiting for daylight. I want you to really sit with that detail because it matters for everything that happens after. We weren't supposed to be on that road at that hour. If things had gone differently, if everyone's schedule had been just a little more flexible, none of this would have happened to us at all. On the way out to the concert, we'd taken the normal route, the one most people in our group used whenever they made that drive. Straightforward, well-traveled, nothing remarkable about it. Coming back, though, somebody suggested a shortcut. Faster, sure, but with a catch. The road curved constantly, snaking through dense backcountry forest, the kind of road where you genuinely lose track of how many turns you've taken because they just keep coming, one after another, with thick trees pressing in close on both sides the entire way. It wasn't the kind of road you wanted to be on at 2 in the morning. Everybody in the car who was still awake knew it. There was this unspoken tension settling over us as we drove. Not panic, nothing that dramatic yet, just this low-grade alertness. The driver kept both hands tight on the wheel. A couple of us who were awake kept our eyes on the tree line, half out of habit, half out of something else we couldn't quite name. Whether we were worried about somebody dangerous lurking out there in the dark, or just spooked by how isolated the road felt, none of us said it out loud. We just watched, and hoped nothing happened. I lost count of the curves somewhere past 10. If I had to guess, by the time anything actually happened, we'd taken well over a dozen. Maybe 15, 16, I genuinely don't know. One of my friends was driving. I sat up front in the passenger seat. The rest of our group was crammed in the back, some of them already drifting off from exhaustion after the concert, a couple still awake, alert the same way I was. We've been driving like that for a while. Quiet, watchful, the headlights catching nothing but trees and asphalt curving endlessly ahead of us. When it happened. Somewhere around the 14th or 15th curve. I really can't be more precise than that. The curves had started blurring together by that point. The engine just died. No warning. No sputtering, no slow loss of power. Nothing gradual about it at all. 1 second we were moving, headlights cutting through the dark ahead of us. The next, the engine cut out completely, and with it, the headlights died too. Total darkness. The kind of darkness you don't experience in a city, ever. No streetlights, no ambient glow from anywhere, nothing but black trees against a slightly less black sky. Everyone in the car screamed. I don't think there's a version of that moment where people don't scream. Sudden total blackness, dead engine, the car drifting to a stop on a road you already didn't feel safe on. I turned to the girls in the back and told them to stay calm, then asked one of the other guys to help me check things out. We popped the hood. Nothing made sense. Gas was fine, battery looked good, spark plugs, fine. Every single thing we checked, every basic mechanical explanation you'd reach for first, came back completely normal. There was no reason, no mechanical reason, for that engine to have died. I remember standing there in the dark, hood open, flashlight in hand, with this creeping thought settling into my chest. Something about this isn't right. I'm not an overly religious person, but in that moment, I did something I don't usually do. I said a quiet prayer. Not really asking for anything specific, more just an apology, directed at whatever might be listening, in case we disturbed something out there in those woods, just by passing through. I told my friend to try the ignition again. The engine roared back to life instantly, headlights blazing, full power, like nothing had ever happened. My friend in the driver's seat turned and looked at me. He didn't say anything out loud. He just held my gaze for a second and gave me this look. I understood it immediately somehow, without him needing to explain. "You drive the rest of the way." I didn't ask why. Some part of me already didn't want to know. I just nodded, walked around to the driver's side and got in. It was past 2 in the morning by then. If everything went smoothly from here, we'd be back in Newton by 4. 2 more hours, give or take, on a road that had already proven it could do something none of us could explain. One by one, the others started drifting off, exhaustion winning out over nerves, the way it does after a long night. Within 20 minutes or so, I was effectively the only one still fully awake, eyes locked on the road, watching for curves I couldn't fully anticipate, watching the tree line out of habit, half convinced something might step out of it at any moment. I drove carefully, slower than I needed to probably, but I wasn't about to take chances on a road that already felt wrong in ways I couldn't name. My eyes kept flicking left and right, scanning the dark edges of the road, partly out of fear of a sharp turn catching me off guard, partly, I'll admit it, out of fear that something or someone might be waiting out there. Robbers, attackers, anything human-shaped and dangerous. That's genuinely what I was bracing for. I didn't yet have a framework for anything else. Gradually, the trees started thinning out. The dense, claustrophobic forest gave way to more open land, and with it came actual moonlight. Full, clear, spilling down onto the road in a way it hadn't been able to before. It felt like relief, like we were finally emerging from whatever that stretch of forest had been. And in the distance, lit up by that same moonlight, I saw a bridge. I remember feeling genuinely grateful at the sight of it. In my mind, bridges meant civilization wasn't far off. Usually where there's a bridge, there's a town, or at least signs of one, somewhere close on the other side. I let myself relax, just slightly, thinking the worst of the drive might finally be behind us. That relief didn't last more than a few seconds. As we got closer, the moonlight, soft, pale, just bright enough to make out shapes clearly, revealed a figure standing dead center on the bridge. A woman, wearing a long green dress, standing perfectly still, facing forward, directly in the middle of the road, on a bridge, at 2 in the morning, in the absolute middle of nowhere. My mind started racing immediately, throwing out explanation after explanation, each one less comforting than the last. Why is there a woman standing in the middle of a bridge at 2 in the morning? Is this connected to what happened with the engine? Was that a warning? Were we never supposed to come this way at all? Or is this person dangerous? Is she actually a man in disguise, trying to look harmless enough that we'd slow down, stop, and become easy targets? None of those options felt good. I didn't have time to land on any of them, honestly. I just made a decision. I pressed down on the gas and tried to steer around her, giving her as wide a berth as I possibly could on that narrow bridge. The sudden acceleration jolted everyone awake. My friend beside me sat up immediately. In the back, more voices stirred, confused, alarmed. "What's going on, William?" the one beside me asked. "Hey, what's happening?" one of the others called from the back, voice rising with the start of real panic. I didn't answer. I was too focused on threading the car past her, foot still hard on the gas, swerving as wide as the bridge would let me. We cleared her, passed right alongside, closer than I wanted, but past her. And then the side mirror clipped her. Crack. "Who was that?" the guy beside me shouted, twisting around in his seat. The car kept moving, right past the exact spot where the mirror had made contact. And then, impossibly, immediately, the figure in green was no longer behind us on the bridge. She was on the car, pressed flat against the passenger side window, right beside my friend, her face inches from the glass. Everyone screamed at once, a single overlapping wall of noise filling the whole car. I was shaking. I genuinely don't know to this day whether what we saw was human or something else entirely. All I knew in that moment was that nobody standing in the middle of a bridge at 2 in the morning, human or otherwise, was a risk worth stopping for. So I didn't stop. I kept the gas down, hard, while in the back, my friends covered their faces with their hands, unable to look. I forced myself to keep my eyes on the road, because somebody had to. We cleared the bridge. Up ahead, finally, blessedly, I saw the lights of a gas station and a small convenience store. I risked one glance to my right. She was gone. I pulled into that gas station and put the car in park before I'd even fully processed what had just happened. The second we stopped, I checked again, really looked, and she wasn't there. No green dress pressed against the glass. Nothing. I got everyone out of the car. The friends who'd been hiding their faces in the back finally lowered their hands, pale, shaking, looking at each other like they were checking to make sure everyone else had actually seen what they thought they'd seen. I sent one of the guys into the store to grab water for everyone, while the rest of us stood there in the gas station's harsh fluorescent light, just trying to breathe. "What was that, William?" one of my friends finally asked. "I don't know," I told him honestly. "I saw her from a distance, before we even got close. I don't know what she was." Our friend came back with the water, and we passed bottles around in silence for a while, everyone just trying to steady themselves. In my own head, the same question kept circling without ever landing on an answer. Was that a ghost? Or was that a person? Someone dangerous using that costume, that stillness, that location, to set up some kind of trap for drivers passing through? I didn't know. I still don't. Not entirely. All I knew, standing in that parking lot at almost 3 in the morning, was that we were all still there. Still breathing. Whatever had happened on that bridge, we'd made it through it. That's where the story always used to end whenever I told it before. Get to the gas station, catch our breath, drive the rest of the way home shaken but unharmed. End of story. Except that's not actually where it ended. Not for me. About 3 weeks after that night, I got a call. It was Daniel, one of the guys who'd been in the back seat with us, one of the ones who'd had his hands pressed over his face the whole time we passed the bridge. He sounded off. Not panicked exactly, but careful, in a way Daniel never normally was. He asked if we could meet up, just the two of us, somewhere quiet. I figured he just wanted to talk through what had happened, process it together, the way you do with something that dramatic. I said sure. We met at a diner near campus. He didn't touch his coffee. He just sat there for a minute, turning the mug slowly on the table, before he finally said, "William, I need to tell you something, and I need you to not think I'm losing it." I told him to just say it. He said that ever since that night, he'd been having the same dream over and over, almost nightly. In the dream, he's standing on that exact bridge, alone, and the woman in green is there too. Except in the dream, she's not standing still. She's walking toward him, slowly. And every single time, just as she's about to reach him, she says the same thing. "You took something of mine. I want it back." I felt my stomach turn over. I asked him what he thought that meant. He didn't know. None of us did. But he told me something else that night. Something that made the whole thing feel suddenly, sickeningly real in a way it hadn't before. He said that the side mirror, the one that had struck her, the one that made that cracking sound right as we passed, he still had it. It had snapped clean off the car in the chaos, and somehow, in everyone's panic at the gas station, nobody had thought to deal with it. It had ended up in his bag, and from there, sitting in a drawer in his apartment ever since, because he hadn't known what else to do with it, and hadn't wanted to throw it away in case it meant something. He pulled it out of his backpack right there at the diner table and set it on the surface between us. It was an ordinary side mirror, cracked along one edge, exactly where the impact had happened. Except, and he showed me this himself, turning it slowly under the diner's overhead light, there was a faint, greenish discoloration along the crack. Not paint. Not anything that should have transferred from a car. Just this pale, sickly green tint settled into the glass exactly where it had made contact with her. I didn't know what to say. Neither of us did, for a long time. We agreed that day that the mirror needed to go. Not in a trash can. That felt wrong somehow, like it wasn't enough. We didn't have a clear plan beyond that initial agreement. We just knew we couldn't keep it sitting around. In the end, we drove it back out to the same stretch of road, daylight this time, both of us together, neither one of us willing to go alone. We found the bridge again, this time in the harsh, unremarkable light of an ordinary afternoon. It looked exactly like what it was, an old, slightly worn-down bridge over a creek bed, nothing sinister about it in daylight at all. No sign that anything had ever happened there. We left the mirror at the foot of the bridge, on the embankment beneath it, and said something, I don't even remember exactly what, some halfway improvised apology, the same instinct that had made me pray back in the car that night. Whether it meant anything or not, I couldn't tell you. But Daniel told me, weeks later, that the dream stopped. Just like that. No more bridge, no more green figure walking toward him, no more voice asking for something back. I never had the dream myself, maybe because I wasn't the one who actually struck her. Maybe proximity matters in whatever logic governs things like this. I genuinely don't know. But I never went back to that road again, not once, in almost 30 years. Whenever I have to make that drive, even now, I take the long way, every single time. The extra 20 minutes is nothing compared to what's waiting on the other route. To this day, I don't know who or what she was. A spirit tied to that bridge, stuck there for reasons none of us will ever understand. Something that had simply been there long before us and would be there long after, indifferent to anyone passing through, until the night we accidentally took something from her. Or something else entirely. Something I don't have a name for at all. What I do know is this. Some roads remember you longer than you remember them. And some things you carry away from a night like that, even something as small as a broken side mirror, aren't really yours to keep. If you ever find yourself driving some unfamiliar back road late at night, and you see someone standing exactly where they shouldn't be standing, maybe just go around. Slow down if you have to, but don't get close enough to find out what they actually are. Thanks for listening. William. If this story gave you chills, subscribe for more true horror stories from American Backroads. Comment below. Would you have gone back for that mirror, or left it behind?